Audio Jungle.
Growing up in Africa, one of the things that pulls people together is a funeral. But before one dies, there's a solemn moment when they know they're about to die. Especially the elderly men, they would call the legitimate men of the family, gather them around, and they would tell them things that are important that are supposed to be kept as a heritage for their families. And it seems most people know that as they are towards the end of whatsoever endeavor they are into, they would similarly do something that is quite solemn, that demands much of their attention. And this is also similar to the ministry of Christ before he leaves the earth. When we look at the narrative in Matthew chapter 24 and 25, under what they term as eschatological theories, or rather theology, where we focus at the end time and the soon coming Savior, Christ similarly did the same. He gets the disciples and they go to a separate place in the mount. And in the mount, he gives them the various signs of his soon return. Because Christ's ministry is to be complete as he comes back and redeems his own. So at this moment, I want to take some time with you and I as we open the book and read together a passage from the book of Matthew chapter 25, verse 14, up to somewhere verse 30. And there we are going to share together on what is somewhat known as the parable of the talents. Matthew 25, verse 13 to verse 14 to verse 30. The parable of the talent continues after the parable of the 10 virgins. In both of the parables, one of the main emphasis is Christ's soon return. And they both show that it is going to be unannounced. And the Bible says, like a thief comes unannounced at a time when you least expect that thief to come. So these are solemn parables that awaken the disciples' core, especially as Christ is about to leave. So let me run through. As you take your time, you can pause and read through the passage. But in a nutshell, let me share with you what you are going to find in the parable. The first thing you find is that there will be a master, and this master leaves the talents to the servants. To one he gives 5, to another 2, and the last one he gives 1. What happens is the servant, the master leaves, and as he comes back, he finds that the one with 5 talents multiplies them, and he has 10, and there's reward to him. And the one who has 2 similarly does the same. But to the one who has 1 parable or 1 talent, he does not multiply, but rather feels that he's not going to manage to do anything because of the perspective that he has of this master. As I have shared with you time and again, this was a solemn moment. To understand the context of this parable, like I've shared with you, we need to know that the parable's emphasis is what the disciples are to do as the master has gone and as he comes back. Similarly unto us, in the parable, the master is Jesus Christ, and the servants were the disciples. But as of today, we know that Christ has gone to heaven to prepare for us a mansion, and he has called us to be his servants. By virtue of Christ having created us, we are his servants as we have been redeemed by his blood, not of corruptible things, but as we are his own, we are then to labor in his vineyard. If we are to be waiting idly, then we would be overtaken with the things of the world. But Christ's desire is that we should be watching and waiting and also waking. Now let me illustrate to you one of the theories that they give to the 4-year-old children in psychology. They call the marshmallow test. So there are 4 old children who are subjected to a test they call a marshmallow. Under this theory, what they would do is they would put a child seated like I am and a marshmallow. Now, remember, the marshmallow is something that is very sweet, and this child is used to be getting these marshmallows at whatsoever time they want to. And a stipulated time will be given to the child, as if the one who is overseeing the child comes back, they would be rewarded with another marshmallow. So children who have been known to be successful in this test are those who, when they are waiting, they are busy doing something. As they are waiting, maybe they distract themselves from eating or seeing the marshmallow. They tend to pass so well when they are being subjected to this test. Similarly, even us, when we are waiting for Christ's second return, it's going to be boring if you're just going to be seated there all day doing nothing. Like they say, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So Christ knew that as they are waiting for me, they need to be watching and also waking. So he gives them the various talents. Even unto us, we also have been redeemed. And if I don't know, I've not been a master before, but I would only give something that I treasure to someone whom I somewhat trust. So this actually shows that Christ, to a certain extent, knows that we can handle the gifts that we have been given. And like we see from these first two servants, they did multiply. Similarly unto us, if we are to receive the gifts that Christ has given unto us, it is also then our duty to diligently improve what Christ has given unto us, so that they can be multiplied. What are some of the things that Christ has given us? To others, he has given the gift of influence. To others, it's their mental capabilities, where if they look at something or they perceive something in a certain way, it is going to largely influence everyone else. To others, it's their health. Others, it's strength. Others, it's skills, like we are having photography right now. For others, we all have been given different gifts and talents. And what is all known is that those talents are then to be used even for Christ's ministry. Now, it is as we engage in ministry, remember Christ coming to this world is that he should minister unto others. So as we minister unto others with these various gifts that Christ has been given unto us, then we're even getting more and more connected to Christ, whose mission is to minister unto others. So we become even closer to people and more closer to God, so that he can give us power to even do more of his exploits. And that's one of the chief things that we learn in this Bible. But allow me to also mention one thing that we also learn. Then, if we look at the conduct of these two servants in comparison to that one servant, if we are then to be stewards, it means we are not only to take good care of that which Christ has given us, we are then to multiply like it did these two responded. To others, they may be thinking that maybe one talent is not enough. My reminder is that Christ has given us according to our various given us those gifts according to our various capabilities, and as we use them, Christ is going to be glorified in the end. For many, the value of one is not very much appreciated. But take, for instance, look where I am, we use kwacha. If one has 100 kwacha, would that be 100 kwacha be the same if only one kwacha is moved out? Similarly, unto us, just that one difference makes also a big difference to the whole sum of 100 kwacha. So you may feel that maybe being an usher is not enough. You may feel that being a caterer's person is not enough. You may feel that maybe just being there to offer any sort of help is not enough. My encouragement to you is just that one is enough. For every one of us has been given a work to do in this life, so that we can also be granted a place there in heaven. Verse 30 presents to us a sad ending of the talent of the servant who only had one talent. It says, "And cast ye the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." See, this is a sad ending for this servant. But as you go on in with this same chapter, you find of how glorious it will be to those who had responded to Christ's call. So my reminder to you is, wouldn't it be okay for you to once more accept God's call to be used even in His vineyards? As we look at the talents that God has given you and I, it will be better then to be used as His workmanship, even in this ministry. So as we continue in this journey, I implore you, as you listen to me, that we are in the last days. And as we're in the last days, it's time to surrender ourselves to Him. It's time for us to delight in the Lord. It's time for us to continue working with what God has given us. And His reward is soon coming. So why don't you delight in Him?